My life was very, very like the life of other women. And when I was 18 years old, unfamiliar man stole me and took me to live with another family. At that time in our country, it was a part of our culture to steal girls for marriage. And I often thought to myself that I used to live in one kind of hell where my father drank a lot and he was very aggressive and would beat. And from that hell, I went to another hell, even worse. And I could not escape from my new family because it would be a great shame for my whole family and parents and sisters. And so, as many women in our country, I was raped many times and beaten many times, and if I wouldn't obey my husband, he would beat me. And I thought at the time, like it was actually marriage. It was supposed to be this way.
Elena had 2 daughters. While the girls were still young, Elena was late coming home after buying bread one evening. Her husband was angry about this and attacked her with a knife, stabbing her repeatedly. As she lay bleeding to death, her uncle came to the house.
My uncle forced his way into the room and he saw the bunch of blankets on the bed, and when he took all those blankets away, he saw me and my daughter together covered in blood.
Her uncle then took her to the hospital where her life was saved.
After this event, my parents allowed me to leave my husband, and I was very happy that I had a chance to live separately from him.
In spite of his attempt to kill her, it was still a great shame to her family that she left her husband. So she was left alone to provide for her small children. An acquaintance helped her find shelter for herself and her daughters while she looked for work. Elena found a job in the police department, and over many years, she worked her way up through the ranks until she was promoted to the position of chief of police in the capital city. She is now well known and respected across the city. A relative started bringing her to meet with the Nazarene believers, and gradually, God helped her believe in Him. Elena finally gave her life to God and began to study the Bible and grow deeper in her faith in Him. Yet, she still struggled with bitterness over the things that had happened in her life. Later, when the missionaries who had formed the Nazarene group had to leave the country, Elena was selected to be the new pastor. In Elena's country, it is illegal to publicly share about God, so she led the group in social networks, including assisting with a city homeless shelter. Linda, the leader of the shelter, one day told Elena shocking news that her ex-husband was one of the homeless men who had visited the shelter, and he was living on the streets of the city.
And I said, no, it can't be. He died, I heard he died, and his relatives wanted me to bury him, but I didn't. But I heard he died. So Linda told me, yes, he is a homeless person, he's alive. And so I told this story in the church, and the church said, okay, we need to take him and care for him. And it was really, really hard for me to tell you the truth. And all the people in the church got excited. They started cooking dinner, and 10 people went to get him from the street as if he was a president. And I was so upset. I locked myself in the room and I said, God, do you really want me to feel like this? And other men in the church, they started preparing clothes for him, like a special nice clothes, and said, because he's the husband of our pastor. And I was so upset about it. And I saw a person, a homeless person. I looked in the window and I saw a person entering our yard, and it was not my husband. And I said, God, thank you that it's not my husband. And I ran to meet him and I said, God loves you, please welcome. And so I took him to the room and I said, saying, God loves you, like, and sharing the gospel, so happy. And he was sitting like, and then he said, shut up. And I realized it was him, and I ran away. And I started crying and saying to God, God, why are you doing this to me? And I was standing in front of him, I didn't know what to do. And then suddenly I felt like someone pushed me, and I kneeled before him, right before him. And suddenly I heard me speaking, I forgive you for everything, for all my tears and for everything you did. And I put my head on his knees and I was crying and crying. And at that very moment my heart was set free from this anger and hatred. And now when people have difficulty forgiving other people, I share my testimony with them. And I always say that God forgave us. How can we not forgive others? And God always gives us strength to forgive others.